Hello there, and welcome to 5 Easter questions that we're going to look at together in this time leading up to Easter. My name's Philip Wells. I work for Calvary Church here in Brighton. I'm a Christian minister, and I've lived here in Brighton for many years since I was a student at Sussex University studying mathematical physics, actually. Well, I'm going to take us through 5 questions that I think I would love to somebody to ask me so that I can give them these replies. But since let's assume that you've asked, let's look at these 5 questions which I think are very relevant to Easter. And the first question is, what actually is Christian faith? So we're going to discuss some more things in depth, but let's first of all work out what it is we're actually talking about. It's often said about faith communities, including the great religions, and Christian faith is one of them. So let's try and get to the heart of it. What are we talking about when we say Christian faith? So question 1, what is Christian faith? What is Christian faith? So I'm going to give 2 caricature answers and then try to focus in on what I think is actually hitting the nail on the head. So first answer, caricature answer. The idea of Christians as being happy clappy, as being Trump supporters, as being anti-vaxxers, and that is the impression that you might get if you follow the BBC News coverage of what are referred to as evangelical Christians in North America, particularly in the time of the recent election. So that's one possible answer, and I'm going to say that I think Christian faith does contain people in it who are happy. Nothing wrong with that. And genuine Christian faith can indeed belong to people of all political persuasions. And there are some, no doubt, people who conscientiously would support President Trump as distinct from President Biden, now President Biden. And they are people of Christian faith. And there are no doubt people who, for conscientious reasons, refuse vaccination, who are of Christian faith. But I don't think that actually hits the nail on the head. Let's look at another caricature that you might have in your mind about Christian faith. And this time I'm looking something that's more suitable for the UK culture, English culture. So this is looking at Christian faith as it's presented, shall we say, in the traditional cathedral, robed choirs, robed ministers, chanting and liturgical prayers. So the traditions, those who wear robes, and this is would be seen as particularly home to the middle classes and the upper middle classes. So when the Queen goes to church, she goes to a traditional church where they wear robes and have liturgy, because of course she's actually the head of the Church of England. So there's that sort of idea of what really Christian faith is. And I'm going to say that there are some wonderful things in the traditions. The Book of Common Prayer and its successors contain wonderful prayers, and I don't think the Lord is that really concerned about what clothes you're wearing. And some of my very good friends of genuine Christian faith are robe-wearing ministers. I'm not. This is my normal professional clothing, as you can see. And people of all classes need Jesus. Posh people need Jesus just as much as anybody else. So what I'm going to say is, but that picture doesn't hit the nail on the head. I mean, we see it with the royal weddings, don't we? Is that really what Christian faith is about? So in order to give what I think is a more incisive answer, let's go back to the source, and let's go back to Jesus himself. And there's a quote here from a time when Jesus was in conversation with one of the religious leaders of his day. He would be a Jewish religious leader, and he would know all about the politics of his day and the different political stances, and he would know all about the liturgy of his day, the people who wore robes and special religious clothing. Jesus actually commented on that at one point. And he would also know something about the class structure of his day, and this guy, I would guess, would be in the upper classes. His name was Nicodemus. He came to Jesus at night and engaged in conversation with him. And during that conversation, Jesus said to Nicodemus, surely you realize this about authentic faith that is in the Bible and that Jesus is the proponent of. And he says this, flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to spirit. You should not be surprised at my saying, you must be born again. And that's Jesus in John's Gospel. Feel free to look it up, chapter 3, verse 6. And what he's saying is that there is such a thing as the realm of the flesh. Now, by this he means the things that human nature is capable of in and of itself. So the intellectual capacities of human nature, the physical capacities of human nature, and the spiritual capacities of human nature. You know, the spiritual exercises like chanting, meditating, doing pilgrimages and so on. And he says that all those things, flesh, all it can do is give birth to flesh. It doesn't get you any further than ordinary human capacity. And whether we're talking about politics or whether we're talking about liturgy, if that's all it is, just human, then it doesn't get to the heart of what Jesus wants to bring. But he says spirit gives birth to spirit. That there is an intervention from heaven, from God, from outside this created world, an intervention into human lives. The Spirit gives birth to spirit. And Jesus says that's obvious and it's necessary. And Nicodemus and any other seeking, inquiring person should not be surprised that Jesus says, you must be born again. And here I think we're getting at the heart of what Christian faith is all about. It's not something external, it's not something political, it's not something cultural, but it is something where God intervenes in somebody's life to bring about such a radical change that you can say of this person, they've been born again. And Jesus says, actually nothing less than that will do. You must be born again. So that's my first answer to this question, that Christian faith is supernatural life changed by personal faith in Jesus Christ himself, because as Jesus proposes this statement, he is actually the key to it himself, as he goes on to say. Supernatural life changed by personal faith in Jesus Christ himself. So here's the answer to the first question, what is Christian faith? I'm going to say that it is supernatural life changed by personal interaction with Jesus Christ himself. That's the first of these Easter questions. There are 4 more to come. Follow along through the playlist or check online for our online services if you'd like to go a bit further. Happy Easter to you. Thank you for your attention. Bye-bye now.